Hello, and welcome back to Hunter Tuned. Today, we're going to do a couple things. I haven't filmed the last couple days. Just been kind of busy doing other things. And, yeah, anyways, so today I have all the parts back from the machine shop to put this D16A6 build together. So we have, these are the high compression P29 pistons that we had pressed onto the factory connecting rods, and I also installed some ARP rod bolts, and we had the rods machined to accommodate the bolts. A lot of people just put the ARP bolts in, and then they don't machine the inner diameter of the big end of the rod. And what happens is the clearance on the bearings ends up being a little bit tighter because the torque is a little bit more on these bolts, and can mess some stuff up. Some people get away with it and they're lucky, and it doesn't distort it. But when we checked these rods at the machine shop last night, all the rods were pretty much within spec besides one of them. One of them tightened up a little bit, so we had to grind them. And we ended up just cleaning all of the rods up to make sure they all kind of matched up perfectly. So all these rods and rod caps have been re-bored, remachined, so the bearings are going to be perfect. And then we also polished the crankshaft last night over at the machine shop. My fucking flashlight is deader than a doornail. So anyways, we got the crank is all polished up, and we checked the journals with a mic, and it's all within spec. So that is good to go, and we're just going to run the standard size bearings. So it's always a good idea, at least in my experience, to measure the journals on the rod and measure the journals on the crank in order to get your bearing size, because sometimes when you use plastic gauge, there's a bunch of variables that can kind of come up with it. Plastic gauge is still a good way to measure, but it's not as good as actually miking the crank and measuring the bore of the rod and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of the proper way to do it. But anyways, so we got the crank and rods, all that stuff good to go. I got a dingle ball hone here. We're going to run through the block, and we're going to get the cylinders honed. I had to hit the block. I got the block hot tanked. So this thing is looking super clean. Looks really good. So no more metal or nothing in the bottom end of the motor. This motor did have a very slight spun center main bearing, so I wanted to get everything cleaned out of it for him and whatnot. So we are building this for a customer. This is going to be a customer's motor that he's going to be running in a dirt round car. So we're going to put this thing together for him. Like I said, we got it all kind of cleaned up, but we're not going to paint it or make it look fancy or anything like that. We got to just kind of do what we got to do to make it look stock and shit. So anyway, so this is it. We might have to clean the surface of the block up a little bit here, but that shouldn't be no big deal. And then run the hone through the block as well. So we also have the cylinder head up here that I had hot tanked, and we have the reground Delta camshaft over here. So this cam is a 260 grind for the non-VTEC head. We sent that over to John at Delta Cams, and we got that thing all freaking working great. So we are going to be running that cam and all that stuff, and I might do a little bit of porting on this cylinder head. I'm not exactly sure yet. I got to get some tools in order to port it. But yeah, so anyways, we got the oil pan clean. All this stuff is like super cleaned up. I think that's a GSR pickup, and this is the little single cam. But the pan looks fucking brand new. There's some snow in it because we got 6 inches of fucking snow last night, guys. And the rest of the week is going to be, let's see. I don't think it's supposed to get above 0 degrees Fahrenheit for like another week. So that's going to suck. It's going to be hard to come out here and work in the garage because my garage isn't really that insulated. And the little heater I have, it works, but when it's fucking 10 below or 20 below outside, it gets hard to hold heat for sure. So I don't know what I'm really going to be filming. I've kind of been in like this slump of like, I don't know what the fuck I want to film. But this is my hatch. We got this thing running good in one of the last videos. And I have a block that I just recently filled. I did not film it because the footage turned out like shit, so I did not upload that. But I did fill it with the Chris Boyette block filler, and we took the block up to the machine shop yesterday, and he's going to give it a fresh surface. And I have a GSR crank that I'm getting polished and checked over, so we'll have a GSR crank and then a block filled with the Chris Boyette stuff. So that'll be all good to go. And then I have a cylinder head up in the attic that I'm going to be building very soon. But a lot of this has been put on hold because, well, I just got a fucking stick up my ass again. Because if you guys have been following for a while, you know that I've been wanting a chassis dyno for quite some time. And I wanted to talk to you guys about this a little bit because, well, I was on the Sloppy Mechanics Facebook page, and there was a guy that posted about a homemade dyno or something. And it was just like some portable Mustang dyno, and it was just like a joke on the Sloppy page. And I just scrolled through Craigslist and eBay and shit like that, and I found a dyno on eBay in Arizona for $750. So I'm going to kind of show you guys what this dyno looks like. I just have the eBay listing here. I tried messaging the seller, but I'm half tempted to just hit buy it now because I can arrange pickup and stuff, I'm sure, later, or shipping later. But I don't know if I'll ever find a dyno this cheap. Ever. It's not anything that's going to hold 1,000 horsepower by any means, but it's a start. And I know if you have like the frame and rollers and shit like that, you can actually work off of that. And there's kits that like upgrade a lot of this stuff, and you can convert a lot of it to newer software and convert it to do all sorts of stuff. So there's companies out there like Dyno, I forget, maybe like Dyno Dynamics or something like that, and they sell upgrade kits for a lot of these older style frames. So like this older style dyno frame might take newer style parts, and you can kind of upgrade them and make them to your liking, or we can just run it and see if it fucking holds up or whatever. So I've really been wanting to get a dyno, like I've been saying, and this dyno, like I said, it might not be the best option for me because it's probably just like it's a 1975 Clayton chassis dyno, model C720. So C720, I've done a little bit of research, but there's not a whole lot of info out there on it. I know that this dyno is probably meant for like just a rolling road, and it's not meant for like huge horsepower stuff. But like I said, I'm sure we can upgrade it and make it to our liking. And it's in the budget. So I did originally say that I wanted to spend around $10,000 on a dyno, but the $10,000 number is kind of far out there, and I don't have that kind of money. And I don't know when I'll have that kind of money. So this one might be a little bit better option that we can kind of build off of and use to, you know, our advantage of price here. So been kind of stressing about that a little bit because I'm really trying to find something. And then there's another one down in Joliet, Illinois for $2,500 that I was also looking at. And I messaged that guy as well. They're both kind of cheaper rolling road style dynos. They're not, I don't know a whole lot about dynos. I really don't. I just want to buy one and then figure it out as I buy it, because that's how I learn a lot of stuff and whatnot. And there's not a lot of people out there that like are super well educated that I can talk to on this subject. So, like I said, I'm trying to find something really cheap that I can maybe just make work. I think it'd be a fun little project, and I think it'd be a little fun experiment and something to play around with. We can kind of, you know, do as we please with it. If it can't read horsepower or can't read torque, I'm sure we can figure out some sort of pickup system and put a software on it that'll work. I'm sure all that stuff is doable. You know, like I said, I'm trying to just the only thing I'm concerned about with this cheaper dyno is I don't want the damn thing to like explode if I put something that's 400 horsepower on it. You know what I mean? Like I don't want it to like come apart, you know, have the rollers break apart or the bearings or whatever that's inside of there. I don't want any of that stuff to come flying apart, which I don't think is like a common thing, but a lot of these dynos are rated at, you know, a certain horsepower or a certain load level, and I don't know what is the limiting factor on a lot of that stuff, so I got to do some more research and figure that stuff out. If you guys do know the limitations or why, you know, certain ones are rated at certain power levels, I'm sure it's like the bearing size or something like that that's inside the roller, or that the roller sits on the outside. I know like some of the really big in-ground dynos, they have bearings that are like the size of my fucking body. Yeah, so I think it'd be a really cool little experiment, guys, and maybe we can pick up some cheap piece of shit dyno and kind of make it to our liking and make it work and make it happen. I think that'd be really cool. But the only downfall is this one on eBay is in Arizona. So if I did purchase the one in Arizona, I would have to figure out a way to ship it back to Wisconsin, which even if I have $2,000 into it at the end of the shipping cost and shipping prices and all that stuff, that's still like a pretty damn good deal. I've seen a lot of these like rolling road style dynos, and any chassis dyno for that matter. It doesn't matter if it's like only a rolling road, can only take 200 horsepower kind of dyno. It doesn't matter. You can't find them for under like $5,000. So this would be like a super cool deal. It would be a really cool deal. I'm fucking really hoping that maybe something like this will work out. I don't know. I'm not sure. You guys let me know what you guys think about the whole dyno thing. I'm really wanting to pull the trigger on something here and get something rolling, because I just think it'd be really fucking cool. And it would greatly, you know, like I said, the only thing I'm really worried about is the fucking what load, like what is the limiting factor on like a cheaper rolling road style dyno that can only take X amount of horsepower? Is it the size of the roller? Is it the size of the fucking bearings that are on the end of the roller? Is it the software? It just can't read it? I don't know. I don't know any of this stuff. I got to do some fucking homework. But anyway, so I'm probably going to get to putting this A6 build together here, and then maybe we'll work on the CRX a little bit. I got some fan mail from McCreary Racing. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it. But he has a YouTube channel as well, and he actually reached out to me because I needed a VTEC solenoid for my CRX, and he reached out and he sent one over. So I got a new VTEC solenoid, or new to me VTEC solenoid. It needs a gasket, so I'll have to source one of those, and we should be all good to go on the CRX, and I'll finally be able to hook up fucking VTEC on the CRX. I'm pretty excited about all that. I also have another guy that's sending me a VTEC solenoid, and I'm going to be needing another one for the B20 VTEC project that's going to be going in the CRX afterwards. So I have like 3 B16 heads upstairs, and none of them have VTEC solenoids. So I figured, you know, I'll take the extra one, and we can use it on one of the other B16 heads. Alrighty guys, so a little change of plans. I actually pulled the Honda CRV in the garage. And if you guys have watched the video on the Honda CRV that I picked up for my dad, we got this car, truck, SUV fucking thing, whatever you want to call it. I feel like everybody gets mad if you call it a truck, and everybody gets mad if you call it a car. This fucking thing. We picked it up for $600, and it needed a timing belt. So I threw a timing belt on it. Everything is minto fucking pinto. Only issue with the car is it has a squeal when the rear end engages. So like these cars are like when the front detects slip or whatever, the rear end will kick in. And when the rear end kicks in, when you're like slipping and sliding around in the snow, it has like a squealing noise going on in the rear end. So what I did is I just replaced the fluid in the rear end with the Honda dual pump fluid or whatever, the specific Honda stuff. And I just threw that shit in the rear end, kind of flushed a half a quart through it to make sure that all the old stuff was out. And now I'm going to put it back down on the ground and take it for a test drive. It almost sounds like it's a fucking wheel bearing issue or something along those lines, because it just doesn't sound like rear end to me, but maybe it is. We'll see if this fluid fixed it. Alright, so the CRV is parked and is all good to go. I swapped that differential fluid, and it might have made a little bit of a difference, but now the more that I'm doing donuts with it in the snow, the more I kind of notice the noise is coming from one specific side of the vehicle, and it's kind of coming from the passenger side rear. So I'm thinking it's probably just got a bad wheel bearing or something on that side. Sometimes the wheel bearings will make noise, but they won't have any play. So I'm thinking that it probably needs a wheel bearing. You know, it's not something that we're going to immediately put attention to, but like when you put a lot of weight on one side of the car and you floor it, is when it makes the noise. It doesn't make noise just driving normally. But when you're putting, you know, load on the bearing really hard, and then you're spinning the bearing with force with the motor, you know, that's when the bearing kind of shows its weakness and shows that it's probably on its way out. So it's probably the one thing that they did not replace on that car. It's got everything else is new. I mean, everything suspension-wise on that car is fucking brand new. So I think wheel bearings are going to be in the future, but for now, fucking send it. I think it'll be just fine. So anyways, I've been in this dilemma because you see this fucking white stuff right here? Yeah, there's a lot of snow on the ground. And I've been like not filming the last couple days because I feel like I can't go back to my normal videos that I was doing, because the one Honda video of me driving around in my Honda did really good. That video is almost at 4,000 views already, which is really good for my channel. And then, you know, I tried doing something with the Silverado, and that did okay too. So, I mean, I like just fucking bitching and talking to you guys on the fucking camera here and just chatting away and talking about life and all the problems that I'm dealing with on a daily basis. I like doing that kind of stuff. So I think we're just going to keep rolling with that and making videos of me just jibber jabbering, because I don't know, some of you guys like it. So anyways, now I'm going to pull the CRX into the garage. Oh, I also did a couple other things in the garage I kind of wanted to show you guys. So I'm trying to keep the garage like insulated. So like this window right here is like a plastic fucking piece of shit window, and it cracked. So this was like a big hole in the window right here. So I put a bunch of Gorilla Tape over it, and I'm trying to kind of seal the garage up as best as I can, because the next week of weather here, at least the next week, I think it's going to be even longer than a week, we're in our cold spell. So we usually get these about once a year. We get a cold spell where it's, you know, below zero for at least a week straight, and it's really fucking depressing, and it sucks really bad because it's kind of hard to get out here and wrench, especially when the garage is not sealed off very well. So, like I said, I tried to just Gorilla Tape over that hole in that window over there to kind of hold some of the heat in. And I'm kind of verifying all around the garage, like, hey, is there any like big holes that I can tape up or whatever to kind of alleviate some of the heat from escaping. So the only other thing that I did find is our garage door really fucking sucks. So when I shut the garage door, there's a big gap around the outside of the garage door, all around the perimeter. And I think the track is bent or something, so it's really tough to be able to fix something like that. But at least we got some of the little stuff sealed up. Like I said, I'm really trying to wrench on shit the next week. I have quite a bit of stuff I want to do, so I got to get this D16 together here in the next couple days, and I don't want to do it when it's fucking 20 below zero. So yeah, so anyways, the garage did have like a gap along the bottom of the door. So like when the door comes down, it seals on the bottom here. And what I can do to alleviate that issue is just pack snow against the garage door, and that will seal the bottom of the door. But when the door is shut, when you're looking on it from the outside, there's this huge gap. So like in between the door right here and the track, this is like wide open. So it's really hard to be able to get heat to stay in. And I don't know what I can do for a temporary solution to be able to seal that off, to kind of help keep the heat in the garage. I'm not concerned about fumes or anything like that, because this is a kerosene heater and it burns really clean. So I don't I'm very sensitive to fumes myself. Like I can't even deal with exhaust leaks coming into the car, minus fucking running a heater that isn't clean burning. So this heater I'm not really worried about, like I said, because it is a super clean burning unit. I actually tuned it. There's like a little mixture screw on it, and I tuned it so it burned perfectly. It's just when it gets below a half a tank, it's like my Honda, and it starts fucking burning a little shittier. So that's kind of funny with the fucking heater thing. It's kind of just like the Honda. So anyways, I'm going to pull the CRX in the garage now, and I'm going to dust the snow off of it, because it is fucking full of snow. So I'm going to dust the snow off of that, and then we're going to pull it in, and I'm going to put the VTEC Solenoid that I got from Matthew onto the CRX, and we're going to wire it up. Alright guys, so the CRX is in the garage now, and I just swapped out the block-off plate that I had on the VTEC Solenoid area. So a subscriber had sent me this Division something. I can't quite read what's on here anymore, but anyways, it's just a VTEC block off plate for guys that are running like locking pins and shit. So he sent me that block off plate a while ago, and I used it on here for the time being, but now I want to hook up VTEC and make sure that it works, and see how much power we can get out of this little single cam, because it is an all motor kind of high compression single cam. And kind of see where it ends up, and see how fast it is. So I just hooked up the VTEC solenoid. We plugged it in. I bolted it up to the cylinder head. I had a gasket that was on the block off plate, so I just used that gasket on this solenoid. That worked out. And I ran a wire from the solenoid back to the ECU, and tied A4 and D6 together. so I don't have to run the frickin' wires for the pressure switch, because that shit's annoying. So yeah, we got it all plugged up. Everything is good to go in the car. And kind of just went through the car and checked to see why the engine lights were on, because it's always had a check engine light, and it was mainly on because of the VTEC solenoid. So I fixed it, and I checked it, and it still had a light, so I was like, what the hell? So I checked the engine lights again after I did the VTEC solenoid. Now, the only engine light that is on is for the oxygen sensor, because it doesn't have an O2 sensor. So that's fine. It doesn't have an O2, whatever. But I do want to take it out for a little rip and kind of see how everything is doing. And also, tomorrow probably, maybe tonight I'll do it yet, I'm not sure. But I want to put a wideband on this thing and see and show you guys kind of how lean, I'm thinking, how lean the factory P28 tune is for this setup. So I want to check that. I want to put a wideband in it, leave the factory computer in it, go beat on it, see how fun it is, and see how lean it is, and then put the Hondata in it, or a chipped EC with chrome, and then tune it, and then see if we can see a difference, kind of thing. So I think that'll be a really cool experiment we can do tomorrow, possibly. Like I said, it just sucks with this fucking weather right now. I feel like I'm just a broken record right now, but I did kind of want to talk to you guys a little bit more about the dyno stuff, because the one I showed you guys a picture of was on eBay, and it was like 750 bucks, which is stupid cheap. And there's actually, I've gotten tagged a couple times on Facebook now of this link from Dynamometers, and they sell like it's like a build your own, fucking ad, get out of here. It's like a do-it-yourself dyno plan. So you can like buy their electronic kit, you can buy their data acquisition computer, you know, like all their, they sell like a kit. They sell the software, so you can pretty much, it says right here, build your own dyno or give an existing unit a new lease of life. Our state-of-the-art Dynamite dyno collection and engine control computer software deliver a price-performance ratio formerly unheard of in professional dynometer test systems. So that would be super cool. Like I said, we can buy like a really cheap dyno and just have like rollers in a frame, kind of. Have the frame and the rollers, and then buy like some electronic kit like this. I had there's another one other than this one that another guy tagged me in that's like 10 bucks or something. So maybe we can just strap some electronics onto a roller system that I buy, you know what I mean? And see what goes on from there. The only thing that sucks is there's another dyno actually in Illinois, which is one state below me, so it'd only be like a couple hour drive, even though I'm a little bitch and can't leave town because of my anxiety. But I found another one down there in Illinois for 2,500 bucks, and the guy said that he's ran drag cars on it. It doesn't have any computer system with it, but it is like a functioning roller system. So I might show you guys a picture of that real quick, if I can find it on here. But anyways, this guy says he's going to call me tomorrow on this chassis dyno in Illinois. I'll show you guys a quick picture of it. So this looks like a little bit heavier duty unit, for sure. It's still like old school and doesn't have any like electronics with it, but well, here's a part number, I think. I don't know. Type 110. That's probably like 110 for the electrical. 110 volt. Axle load max 2,000 kilograms. I don't know. I don't know what any of that shit means, but the guy stated in his ad that this is a chassis dyno that was used to tune import cars in the 90s for Illinois emission standards. It has dual air brakes to load the engine. It has a speedometer and fluid gauge for the percent of braking pressure applied. I'm sure there's a formula for combining these readouts to show horsepower. We used it to test drag car engine combinations, and it did show results in tuning, good or bad. It's been in heated storage for a few years now, and I don't have any plans for a shop in the near future. Could be used as is or recessed into the floor. This is a type where it's like, you know, you could put it above ground and have ramps going up to it, or you could put it into the concrete. So that would be super cool. And the dimensions are 30 by 87, so it's not huge. It would fit in my fucking garage, or the unit, or wherever we decide to put it. And he's asking $3,000 or best offer. Don't be afraid to make an offer. Worst I can say is no, and that's what it says right on the ad. And he lowered the price down to $2,500. So fuck, if I get this thing for like $2,000, that would be so awesome, guys. So cool. And it's got like a braking system. I didn't even read that the first time, so that would be fucking sweet, I think. And like I said, the second one does look like a lot heavier duty of a unit. I just hope that they can take a lot of, like, I don't know anything about this stuff. Like, can we run a tire on that at 150 miles an hour? I don't know. I'll have to talk to that guy and figure some more stuff out tomorrow, but I'm excited to talk to him for sure. Alright guys, so we are back. I know this video is probably super fucking boring. I apologize. But I did take the CRX to go get a fucking 6-pack, and it fucking works out okay. The engine light hasn't came back on for VTEC, so I think the VTEC is working. You can't really tell with the fucking single cams, but hopefully we can hook up the data logger with the HON data, make sure everything is crossing over properly, and you know, see if we can do something with it. So seems to be good to go. I would totally have brought the camera and done a pull, but the roads are so slick right now that I can't even hook this thing up in 4th gear. So I can't, there's no dry roads out there right now where I can actually stab this thing and let the RPM build up slowly to listen for the crack. So potato. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed an update from me. Like I said, I just feel like haven't been filming a whole lot lately because I don't want to like put out boring content, but at the same time I don't give a fuck. I don't know. All ice. Fucking cold. I was actually just watching a guy on YouTube, and he does he throws water up in the air when it's like below 0 outside, and he's from Alaska, and he made a video and it was -51 below 0 Fahrenheit. And he did a video where he threw water up into the air, and I think I might do a similar video coming up whenever it gets really fucking cold. So it's not even close to cold out right now. It's only like 15. But I know tomorrow night's supposed to get pretty cold, and then the rest of the week is probably going to be below 0. So if we can get a night where it's like fucking 15 below 0 outside with like 40-degree negative wind chill, we should come outside and throw some more fucking water up in the air. I think that'd be kind of cool to show you guys. It's a little cool experiment. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about the whole dyno thing. I'm really kind of hoping that I can do this. I keep thinking about it. So anyways, have a good day, guys. Have a great tomorrow. Have a better day tomorrow, whatever fucking have you. We'll get this A6. I'm probably going to take it inside and build it inside the house because I don't want any of the metal to be like super fucking frigid cold when I put it together. I don't think it's a very good atmosphere to put a motor together when it's freaking 0 degrees outside. I'd rather just do it in my basement where it's a little bit warmer and kind of room temperature, and put the motor together in room temperature. I think that'd be a good idea. I'm wanting to do everything perfectly for this guy because he's a customer, and I want to kind of just make sure everything is going to be perfect before giving it back to him. So yeah, but anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.